Yeah, what's it like with your guys' kids at school?
Oh my gosh, it's so much quieter. I'm not going to say better.
But sad, right? Because a good parent would say sad.
I mean, but it's one day it is going to be quiet.
Oh,
and we're going to be like, I wish it were loud again. I wish my children were arguing over who gets to use the towel.
Leave it to Chris to bring our podcast down.
Last night, there was a whole big fight erupted because Hazel and Lewis were mad because Lewis tugged on the towel that was on Hazel's shoulder. It's just like, God,
tug? Why did he tug on it?
I wasn't in there. I didn't see it, but then it just
trying to dry his hands
this
off.
Whole big thing. I'm like, really, guys? We have to. We need to take this to the parents.
Lewis, you tugged on my towel.
Tugged on the towel. Towel tug. He tugged the towel.
Wow, get it under control.
Yes.
What do they want you? What do you think? What do you think is her hope that you will do?
I don't know. Yeah,
Lewis.
like get the other one in trouble.
What
like, hey, guys, Lewis, don't tug the towel. When she has the towel, don't tug it.
I think she's looking for something bigger. You know what? Grounded. You should just start responding. Just really over-responding.
Yeah. No, what she probably wants me to do is to go, Lewis, all right, you do Hazel's chores in the kitchen.
Oh, my goodness. I think that next time that one of them do something very small, you should do that. And just be very serious about it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. This is an idea coming from someone who has two very small children and much less experience parenting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You should try that, Adam.
It's just I think this season though too is like school starting. Everyone's kind of on edge. Yeah. Everyone's a little nervous. Everyone's a little we're in the middle of remodeling a house, so we've been over there a lot.
My life is hard. We have a house to remodel and a really nice school to go to.
We have to go to the new house again.
No, I have to go work at Chick-fil-A again. They're so nice there.
Yeah, it's just like the little petty stuff that turns into arguments. It's just really frustrating. But
this is how that jokey, this is hard life is how I felt whenever we had the storm on Father's Day. And we had to leave our house for 8 days. And this hotel room is small. We're in this air-conditioned hotel room with free breakfast and a pool, and it's tough. I mean, it was kind of tough.
Did they wash our sheets again?
The Target is really close, a little too close.
I can hear the Target. I can literally hear it.
Oh.
Yeah, first world problems.
It's fun to laugh at ourselves, guys.
Yeah, it is. It is. We get, it's so easy to get caught up. Like this real world situation. A couple nights ago, I get excited about we're remodeling this house, and I get these visions in my head of what it's going to look like, and I'm, all these things I want to do. And then you meet with the contractor, they're telling you, okay, this is what it would cost to do this. And you're getting prices for all this stuff. And you're just quickly realizing okay, this is not going to probably be what I can afford. And then then I fall into this or I have fallen into this pity party of just frustrated that it's not going to be what I thought it was or whatever. And it's just get over yourself. You have an amazing family. This is just so easy to lose sight of what you actually have when you're striving for some new thing. And so that's what some of this week was about, was kind of reminding myself of how amazing my life is and how thankful I am for things, and not getting all disappointed just because my bathroom can't look how I want it to.
That's really good. I'm glad that you're having this revelation, because I did have a correction for you that I wanted to do publicly.
Yeah, public rebuke.
One of the last...
Well, you've already brought this to him in private. But now,
one of the last podcast episodes we did was, I think it was called Chris Buys a House. Mm-hmm. And I just asked several people, hey, what'd you think of that podcast? And they're kind of sad.
sounds about right.
And I was just like, oh man, good thing I cut out a lot of it.
Yeah, did you tell him you cut out the sad stuff?
I was just like, I thought I cut out the sad stuff, but I guess there was more to cut out.
Yeah, we should film that one in Lebanon.
Hey guys, can you gather around? Chris wants to talk about his house and just how hard it is.
It's really hard to make decisions about stuff. It's scary when you're on your own, when you're working for yourself. Where's the money coming from? I don't know.
Whenever you're following your dreams,
it's really hard to follow your dreams, is I guess what I'm trying to say. To do the thing you love to do and get paid for it can be very hard. People don't realize how hard it is.
And then, like, sometimes I think about the fact that I have a loving family, and it gets harder.
I have 4 loving children and an amazing wife, and it's hard
And
to
then
take care of them.
Sometimes I have really good friends, too, like best friends, and that's tough.
I have too many people to talk to about it, you know? Who do I share my problems with?
That was a little you had a little northern accent on that one.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Sorry. God.
Anyway, we got to wrap this up quick. Chris has to get to one of his 3 houses here in just a little
have
bit.
some remodeling to do. Remodeling this 3rd house is hard.
What are we talking about today?
I don't know.
Besides Chris's problems.
I'm sorry. I wish I could just be more happy-go-lucky and just
It's so crazy because, like,
upbeat and I just tend to gravitate towards negativity for some reason.
oh, we know. It's crazy because
sadness.
I'm writing these scripts for this YouTube page for this family that has a pretty successful YouTube show out in San Diego, and we were Zooming yesterday, and I was like, man, you guys are killing it. San Diego, what are they? They're in Tustin, which is around LA. They're like, the weather's amazing. It's just super awesome. And they're like, yes. Also very expensive. And this house, we rent it. And I was just like, yes. Because Oklahoma, while it's 100 degrees every day, I do own my house. So
Yeah. And the price of living, the cost of living is very reasonable compared to most places in the United States. So
yeah.
lot to be thankful for.
There is a lot to be thankful
yes,
for.
There's a lot to be thankful for.
So that's my correction to you.
Thank
So
you. And I
receive
receive that. I receive it. I let it wash over me and let it change me.
Oh, it's turned into old Southern pastor.
You know,
I claim it.
I claim it.
Do you guys hear the mower outside?
That.
Nope.
You don't hear someone mowing?
I can hear it.
Maybe just a tiny bit.
Guys, stop mowing my lawn. Sorry, I'm trying to do a podcast.
It only takes like 3
So
seconds to
hard.
mow your yard.
All right, I got some options for you on what we could talk about this show. We could talk about, we could do an episode called 18 shows in 14 days, which was about my Looney Bin run all through July, or did 18 shows in 14 days. Okay. We could talk about what that's like.
Is there anything interesting that happened with the how many shows in 14 days or whatever? 18 shows in 14 days?
The most interesting thing that happened was I was exhausted. That's not interesting. The most interesting thing that happened was I did a ton of crowd work, which was new. And I've started posting those clips online. I started yesterday, and they're doing really well.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I got like 50 new followers yesterday, so
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
well, why don't we do that? Why don't we talk about that, and then we can push your social media whatever. If you have a good one, let me know, and I'll post it on my stories.
Oh, really? You want to hear a little story about that? I'll tell you a little story. I mentioned to Diana. Oh, now the mowers outside are getting loud.
Uh-oh.
I mentioned to Diana the other day. I said, Chris says he's going to repost one of my videos.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done it. He has said this for well over a year.
No, it's not been a year.
It's got to be a year.
Maybe.
Well, he did say if you have a good one.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like one that you really
he's just
like, that you
waiting
think has good potential.
On the good one.
Okay, fair.
I'm waiting for you to send me a video that you want me to share. That's what
I've done that. It's been quite a while. I did it a long time ago.
Okay.
It was real easy to do. I just hit share. And you know what Diana's response was? I think you should get to the bottom of why he hasn't shared it yet.
Oh, gosh. We've had this conversation. I think we talked about it. Because didn't you tell me something similar about... There was something else that I didn't do that started to sound like I didn't really believe in it, but I was just...
Yeah, you would not advertise shows that you were on.
Oh,
I'd be like,
that's
hey, let's
what it
do the
was.
show. And we'd do it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, you're not advertising it. And then we stopped doing shows together like that.
No, I 100% will. If you've got a funny one, a good one that you want, I'll absolutely.
Just
All right.
send it to him right now.
Totally, yeah. Send it to me right now.
Wait for the off-peak time.
I'm not posting till tomorrow, so I can post it today in my stories. It'd be a perfect time.
All right. In Instagram? Mm-hmm. I'm going to send one. I could send... Man. Well, now I'm on the spot.
I know now. Which one
do I want to send?
We don't have. I mean, it doesn't have to be the only one. Like I'm just saying, but for now.
I was just wondering. I've got one that's got 100,000 views on Instagram. But are you ever like, that's not my favorite one. Why did it do so well?
Yeah, that has happened to me before. But if you're getting good like followers from it, then I would say just go ahead and share it. Like if people are resonating with it, then it might be. The other thing too, I guess you probably can't see this on Instagram, but I was going to say, tell me. Well, I was just going to say, like when you see that many people, it has that many views, it makes you want to watch it in the sense that you're like, oh, this must be a good one.
I'm going to send you this one because the one that got 100,000 views, honestly, I think I'll send you both of them. You can decide. Okay. So I'm going to send you one that's done really well lately. And it's just a little, I think, it's just done well lately. And then I'll send you another one that's done really well. And it just feels a little confusing. So,
okay.
Okay, let's see.
Yay.
Here. I have a goal. I don't know if I include this in the podcast. I have a goal, and really some of it comes from Mason, our buddy at the club. Mm-hmm. He said, I've got about 1,300 followers. Not about, I've got 1,300 followers on Instagram. He was just like, I need you to have like 10,000. Mm-hmm. And so one of the reasons I've been working so hard on posting more intentional clips is with the goal of growing to 10,000 followers this year.
I just think crowd work is a fantastic thing to post though, because it's always funny, and then it's not burning up your content. Yeah.
So I've got a lot of clips that are coming out over the next month of that. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Okay. So you want to talk about our show first, or you want to talk about the crowd work and learning?
Let's talk about you first. Let's talk about your.
Look at that.
Servant's heart.
Yeah. The other day, we were having a kind of a newish small group at my house.
A newish?
Yeah, like it's just like some like our friends who've been getting together on a regular basis, and we're like just
your real
hanging
friends.
out. Yeah, my real friends. Yeah, and they're like, hey, let's just we've been hanging out so much, let's just make a small group and go through a book or something together. So we were doing that, and I ordered some snacks for the group. Mm-hmm. And so I get to Target, And Di goes, "What are we doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I got snacks for the group." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know we were doing that." And I made a joke. I'm very hospitable. And right when I said that, the person from Target who was bringing the snacks was like knocking on the trunk because it was still locked. The timing couldn't have been better.
Yeah, right.
Diana was like, "Hospitable, huh? Okay, well, be hospitable to this person right here."
Mind is always on other people.
Yeah, always on other people.
That's what
I'm always
I love about you.
anticipating everyone's needs.
Yeah. So we're talking about, I think we're going to title this episode, let's see if this is right. Let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 18 shows, 19, we're titling it 19 shows in 13 days. Whew. Because while I have not been traveling very much this summer in lieu of Ira being born into our family, I have been performing at my home club, the Looney Bin, so much. And I think I've talked about this probably too much, but you get a lot more opportunities. Shut up. You get a lot more opportunities if you're a clean comic, because a lot of people ask for clean comics to open for them, as well as the fact that there are clean comics who need clean comics, and there's not that many. And so over the course of July, I got 19 different shows. And so we're going to talk about it.
It's amazing.
It was awesome. We're going to talk about it and what it looked like. And I think that's it, because that's what this podcast is about, talking about that stuff. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Woo!
Guys, I worked 8 hours in a single day 5 times this week.
Why are you bringing that up, Gary? Because you don't normally?
No, I just think it's funny to say I worked 14 times this month. 18 times this month.
Well, it's just...
I was just kind of comparing it to the average person's schedule.
So we should title the episode 40 Hours in a Work Week.
I fixed 13 drains this week.
So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Well, I
The
think
first drain wasn't real. It was pretty normal, pretty straightforward job.
Okay.
Showed up, hair, classic. Cleaned that out. The second job. It's how boring, This is what, I don't know who's listening to this right now, is what we're saying.
Honestly,
I
think you're wrong. I mean, your boring plumbing story is no good, but could be good. Like I guarantee there's an
let's
interesting.
get Carl Williams.
That's
Yeah,
true. My brother-in-law Carl is a plumber, or used to be a plumber. He had some amazing stories.
I guarantee there is an interesting plumbing podcast out there. There's got to be. There's interesting things about plumbing.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and what is unique about? I mean, I get your joke, Gare, about like, I worked 40 hours. It's true. However, it's not that easy to get booked on that many shows. So that's kind of like, that's probably the significant.
So we just need to change the title
to
something about.
Can you believe I booked 14 shows?
You'll never believe what happened at show number 13.
Stick
Click
around.
It's not about
number
these
12.
shows. It's about booking the shows.
Yeah, I get. Yeah. Adam got booked on 19 shows. Yeah.
How did he do it?
Well,
How did he do it?
how
Click
to
for more.
book 19 shows in 14 days.
Look at
All right,
Gary,
so-
social media warrior here. He knows how
No,
to
I know.
work this stuff.
He does. He's got the clickbait. Yeah. So it was all kind of by happenstance. Mower coming through again, if you can hear that.
Yes.
I got booked for a week with a guy named Steve Rogers at the Looney Bin. Pretty normal. Gonna host a week at a club. That's 6 shows. That's a lot over 4 days. So that's fine. But last minute, 2 weeks before that in July, the feature act for a comic got sick. Day before, the club calls and says, hey, do you know anybody who could feature? You have any suggestions on someone who could do this week? I give them some suggestions. Nothing worked out. They're like, you want to do it? I was like, that sounds great. So that's week 2. Then another comic a couple weeks after the other shows was like, I really want a clean host. We just have a couple that work the club. And so they called me and asked me to do it. And I was like, sure. I did not understand how tired I was going to be going in it sounds like I'm complaining, and I'm not, although I guess a tiny bit I am. But like to go through the whole day, especially when you have a newborn, go through the whole day, and then around 6:30 you got to start thinking about going into work. I've heard comics talk about this, and I've always been like, suck it up. It's fun. It is fun, but it's very tiring. Yeah, especially when you're like trying to be on, like not just deliver the jokes, but like after the show, like meet people and take pictures or, sell merch or just hand out your card or whatever. So, So, what I didn't expect to happen though, because I typically only host, unless I'm doing a church or like a nonprofit kind of thing, I don't get that much time on stage, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes is about how long you need to do your jokes. Once you get past 15 minutes, I started to get like a rapport with the audience, and I started to get to do crowd work, which is something that I've done a little bit of, but I don't have just like a ton of experience.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, crowd work is basically where you're just using the people in the audience and joking about them, or how are you, when you talk about crowd work, are you like calling for crowd work? Like, are you asking them to give you prompts, or are you just like talking to people and making it funny?
I watch a lot of crowd work, and so I've never had a class in it or anything like that. But watching like we went and saw Sam Morril, you and I, Chris, last year. And just watching, he's great at crowd work. He's kind of really known for it. And just watching for it, I've noticed people doing a couple of things. Number one, they'll call out things like, anybody celebrating anything? The most common one that people joke about now is like, what do you do for work, sir? Like, that's pretty common. It's gotten to the point where it's so common, it's almost hacky.
Joke. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But can you guys hear that mower?
I can hear that.
Yeah.
Are they inside the house?
I think he's going. Oh, I think he's mowing our plants indoors.
He mowing a rug?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, if you hear that. So there's, asking people about their relationships. You guys together? You guys, oh my word, that is so loud. I don't even.
It's not as loud to us.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not as loud to you.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like right out the window, which doesn't. Can you hear that?
I can hear that.
It's distracting. Now it's distracting. Did you guys see this clip of Burbiggs? He was in Seattle and he jumped off the stage and went. And there was somebody in the audience that was barefoot.
Yeah.
And he just
I've seen that.
Leg.
Yeah.
That's at my girlfand's boyfriend. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I remember that. What did they talk about that, or you just saw that clip?
He just had the clip. I don't know, it was on Instagram or something.
Okay. That's honestly, that kind of, it doesn't precede crowd work because there are people who have been doing crowd work for decades. But as far as seeing it online, they're previous to the last few years, there hasn't been just like a ton. Yeah. It hasn't been as prevalent.
Context of what that moment was is Mike Birbiglia is doing a show, I believe in Portland, or is it Seattle? Seattle?
Something like that, yeah.
Northwest. And he's in the middle of his stuff, and he notices that there's a dude. It's kind of like stadium seating where they're kind of sitting up. And he notices that there's a dude sitting in the audience without his shoes on or socks, just bare feet. So he runs off the stage and is like,
he jumps
look
off.
at this. And just kind of makes fun of the guy for not having shoes. Like, this is, he's like, this is the most Seattle thing I've ever seen, or something like that.
And so like that's a really good example of like something that is very interesting crowd work wise. Like if you see something like that, and I am not speaking from a large amount of experience, but what I've seen, if you see something like that, it can be a real gift because you're like, this is going to be funny. Because that's the thing about crowd work. There's a very good chance that it's not going to be funny. The person isn't going to respond very well. Or just whatever you have to say isn't very funny, or you can't think of something quick enough, or whatever. The audience doesn't respond. But so like to see somebody like that's kind of a gift. So
anyway. I think the magic of it is that if it is when people see you be funny, like off the cuff or in the moment, or makes fun of something that's just right there happening, that's specific to that group of people. I think there's a higher level of relationship to it and makes it more funny because it feels so personalized.
So are you looking for crowd like opportunities, like when you did crowd work last week? Or
what was the question? Yeah, what did you say?
Are you just looking for opportunities? How do you, versus you have a set you're going to perform and there's not like crowd work in like 6 minutes in, crowd work for 2.5 minutes and then back to the set.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but I got to the point where I started looking for opportunities, like even before I took the stage. Like I would go and talk to people sometimes beforehand and just be like, is it your first time here? Or like, what are you guys up to tonight? That sort of thing, just to see if there was any sort of whatever, just anything that was going to be interesting. I'll tell you where I kind of realized that I might be good at it is last year at Christmas time. I got booked on several corporate gigs for company Christmas parties, and they did not like my material. It just was like, it wasn't just that like they weren't down for it. They weren't prepared for a comedian. They're like there to get bonus checks, or like there was one place I did a casino and like they want to go play, games, or just the environment wasn't very friendly. Like all the lights were on, that sort of thing. So like one of the first ones where I realized it wasn't going very well, I bailed on my set and I made this joke about how previous to me coming up there, almost everyone in the room had been given like a prize. Like the boss had come out and said, we want to give this to Sandra. She hasn't missed a day of work this year. She's the real MVP or whatever. I noticed when he was giving those out, he only didn't give one person something. And so in the middle of the set, I just go, hey, can I stop for a second? Something has been bothering me. What's your name over here? Notice you're the only person that didn't get a bonus check there. And just eruption. And I was just like, and I remember that being a moment where I was just like, oh, okay. And any comic who's listening to this worth their salt is going to be like, yeah, duh, Adam. But for me, that was new. Mm-hmm. And so I was I started to look for those moments this last week at the Looney Bin. And one of the best moments, I'll post it online, but one of the best moments was, I said, anybody here celebrating anything? And there was this young couple on the front, and they said, second date. Which, Chris, what's your first thought if somebody says they're celebrating their second date?
I mean, my first thought is that, that's nothing to celebrate.
Yes, exactly.
B, that he probably was not going to get a third date if he's embarrassing her, or was it a girl that said it? I don't know if it was the guy or the girl or whatever.
It was kind of both of them together.
They both were celebrating it. Oh, okay. Well. But my first thought is that's nothing to celebrate. Why would you be celebrating?
Exactly. And that's such an obvious joke, but I guess, so that's what I said. I was just like, not worth celebrating, just huge laughter, which isn't that great of a joke. I mean, it's a fine joke, but because it's happening in the moment and it's fast, it just is super fun.
Yeah.
So, but then what I was learning as the week continued was that there might be more material if you ask the next obvious question. Mm-hmm. So like, So like the next obvious quote, like I'm curious. I obviously had a question. Well, I'm curious what you guys would think.
What would the next obvious question is?
Yeah, what would be a good one?
For that scenario,
yeah,
I'd ask about what are you guys going to do for your third date?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or go in that direction.
Yeah, Chris, what do you say?
I was thinking about what did you do on your first date?
Yes,
but.
Yeah, I those are both those. So those are going through my head so fast. So both of those popped into my head. But then right before I got to it, she goes, almost didn't happen. So I'm just like, I remember in the moment thinking, oh, thank you, Jesus, that she said that because I have to know why they didn't go on their second date. So I said, what happened with the other second date? And she goes, oh, I just wasn't into it, which I asked her why. I said, what was the date that you were going to take her on? And she goes, he wanted to take me on a fancy swimming date. I was just like, the whole time I'm just thinking, this is great. I love this so much. And so, I was like, what's a fancy swimming date? And he's like, it's just swimming, but I took a bottle of wine. And yeah, so I just remember thinking, this is amazing because this is so funny. And this has burned up like 2 minutes of my set.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, because I didn't know getting into this, one of the reasons people do crowd work is because they don't have enough time to fill up the whole set.
Yeah.
So when someone like maybe Taylor Tomlinson or Dustin Nickerson, who we've had on the show, when he's touring, working on his next hour for whatever, he might be 15 minutes shy. And so he's going to do crowd work. So, anyway,
I listened to a podcast. You remember Paula Poundstone?
I was going to bring her up. Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. She had listened to this podcast where she talked about crowd work and they kind of were breaking down how she does it. And I thought it was really fascinating because she like talks with a bunch of different people, but then she like keeps coming back to them throughout the night and kind of creates this like storyline between them.
Yes.
Like it's incredible to witness. But she'll talk about what somebody does for a job, and then she'll talk to somebody else, and then she'll find ways of connecting them together, and kind of weaving it together in her set. And it's really beautiful to watch. But I've always thought that's really interesting to me, where she does it in such a way that it feels like it's not just like standing there probing for funny things. It feels like she's having like a real conversation, and the humor is just kind of coming out of it, but then she's able to kind of connect the different storylines all together. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I think her whole one of her last HBO specials is just like there's a ton of crowd work.
Yeah, that's what they talked about. Normally, you wouldn't risk if you're doing an HBO special. You're not going to just get up there and just hope that something funny comes out of talking with the crowd. But that she's just like, that's all that's what I do, and so. For her HBO special, she did a ton of crowd work, and it was amazing. It was really funny.
So what's interesting about that, for one, that listening to that, they had to like prepare for it. So because if you watch a clip online, typically you cannot hear the audience member, and so the person will have to repeat it. But they had like boom operators like running around to do that. So what's interesting, and maybe this will get close to the end of our episode, because really this episode should just be called Adam is learning how to do crowd work. Yeah. It's very fun, and I hope that it continues. I'm posting clips. I've already posted a couple of clips on my Instagram if you want to watch them. But kind of the big thing happening in the comedy scene right now is that one of the biggest skyrocketing comics is this kid named Matt Rife. And Matt has been a comic for a long time. He was on Wild and Out, and he's just been a stand-up for a while. He blew up in the last couple of years online because of his crowd work. And he also blew up because he's an incredibly attractive young man. He's like really muscly, and he's got a great smile, and he's like real fun to watch, and real fun to look at, if you know what I mean.
For a while, have you?
Yeah, but so he's a funny, handsome guy, and he's going on a world tour. Awesome. Congrats, Matt. The argument that a lot of people are making is that it's not going to be sustainable in theaters and arenas because he is predominantly known for his crowd work. So haters say it'll never work, but I'm not a hater. I'm excited for him for his success. But I haven't seen a lot of his jokes because he doesn't post a lot of his jokes.
Yeah,
he's
right.
not really burning the material. So hopefully he's got the material to back it up, because, you know, if you rise too quickly, like you're just going to, you know, kind of, you know, flame out or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway,
if you're opening for somebody, would you avoid crowd work?
You would at least ask them if it's okay. Because a lot of, that is a really good question. A lot of comics, headliners get very angry because they would like to have the crowd work, and it's their show. So you really don't have time to do crowd work as an MC because you just don't have enough time, and that's not your job. Your job is to get everybody excited for the show. As a feature, you could do some. And I just kind of would watch the guys and see if they did a lot of crowd work. And sometimes I'd try to set them up, like maybe do a little bit so that they could see like maybe like they could call back to it, something like that. But I think, in a lot of situations you would like opening for Dustin Nickerson in a couple weeks, and he doesn't do a lot of crowd work, but no chance I'm going to do any crowd work. That would be really rude. If I think that's the right way to say it. There was something that you said there that made me think about one last point about it. What was it? Would you? I can't remember. Oh, I know what it was. In the middle of these shows, I'm so excited to post these. In the middle of these shows, the club owner came and said, "Hey, this next show, we have got a interpreter, a sign language interpreter that's going to be standing by you the whole time."
Oh my gosh.
Because
on
we
stage?
have on stage, because we have a table with, I believe, a couple of tables with 2 deaf customers. And so we have hired an interpreter, and that mixed with my jokes, mixed with a little crowd work, was the most magical of all nights. And I'll post some of those clips. But like, I had one joke about Luna running around the house yelling booty time.
Yeah.
I was so excited. And I adjusted my set a little bit so that like more like fun things like that. And it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'll post some of those clips.
So are you just trying to embarrass the interpreter?
No, I wasn't trying to embarrass her. I was more so just, for one, I knew the interpreter because she's a comic in town. And so that was really fun. I'm trying to think of some of the, at one point I just started like rapid firing words that I just wanted to watch her interpret. And also she is a really good interpreter because her parents are both deaf, but she doesn't do this like for a living. And so like, I was just trying to do it like really fast to see if I could mess her up. So that was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that's a little bit about,
So
you saw,
what was it? 18 shows in 13 days?
I think we did 19 in 13 days because I added one. We had one more with our pal Isaac.
So you
Whitten.
got some new crowd work going, or not new,
Yep.
but you started doing more crowd work. Any other highlights from the 19 shows?
A buddy of mine told me that he just said, man, the difference between you at the beginning of this run and the end, like he said, he just saw significant improvement.
That's awesome.
And I felt it. Like I felt more confident. I mean, there's a reason that like professional comics say like, get on stage every night.
Yeah.
I felt this like professional sort of quality that just I don't know. By the time I got to the last show, I was just like, I'm ready. I'm going to do everything I can to kill. And yeah, it felt different.
That's awesome,
like,
man.
in fact, right now I'm kind of on a little 2-week hiatus. I've gone up a little bit, but I'm going to try to get up before I go open for Dustin Nickerson, because I was just like, oh, I wish those were a little tighter together, because I would maybe feel a little bit more confident. But that's okay. It was a great run. It was hard. I mean, it was a lot of nights away, and so I won't do a run like that right now again. But it was, it was a unique experience.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's wrap this up. Talked about being at the Looney Bin. Looney Bin Comedy Club Tulsa is one of our sponsors. And I happen to know, I always say this, but I never ask if I can ask if for the headliners. Actually, here's one. They've got this. The club is doing so well. They've updated their bathrooms. They've updated the club, the auditorium. Is that what they call it? The auditorium or the room?
The lounge.
Painted it. The lounge, painted it, refinished the tables, got new tables. They got a little VIP section. It's just, they're doing everything they can to make the experience really good. And some of the headliners that are coming are brand new to the club, never been there before, bigger names. In January, I'm opening for Brian Bates, who's on the Nate Lynn podcast, who I'm very excited to open for. So you can check out looneybincomedy.com and click on the Tulsa tab. And if you call on a Wednesday and say you work in service industry, you get a half price ticket. If you call on Thursday and say you're a lady, you get a half price ticket. So looneybincomedy.com, check them out. Great club. In fact, Chris and I are performing there on September 24th. Chris's first comedy club headlining date, and you're bringing out some of your characters.
I'm bringing out some of the characters, and
do you know at least one you're doing?
Oh yeah, I'll do Steven. Steven will be there.
All right, yeah.
There to scout out some prospects, see what he might be able to, secure any dates, something like that. We'll see. See how
that's awesome.
The crowd receives me. So, anyways.
We're so excited to have you, Stephen.
Yeah, it's he left.
He's gone. He's gone.
He lost.
So looneybincomedy.com, check that out. And of course, also co-sponsored by Gary's company, Northern Creative, graphics, video, animation. Check him out at northern.work. And maybe invite him to film in another country like he did in Beirut, which was a podcast episode a lot of people told me they really liked.
Hey,
Gary.
Look at that.
Oh, that's nice.
All about your trip to Lebanon. Yeah. All right. I think that concludes our episode on crowd work. Any final words, anyone?